Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our weekly live series. Today, we have the very own Emily Larimore. Is that how I say your
Yes,
last name?
that's correct.
Heck yeah, I nailed it. She is from the Chamber. So if you watched a previous live stream where we did with Lauren Roberts Carter from the Chamber, that is also how I connected with Emily. The two of them are shining marketing stars, but that's not necessarily what we're here to talk about today. So want to give you a quick introduction about Emily. So she is the marketing relations specialist at the Hampton Roads Chamber of Commerce. So in her role, she manages advertising efforts in order to strengthen relationships within the chamber members. So she also contributes to the overall effectiveness of the chamber for business, and she really deals heavily with a lot of young professional and YP events. So that's what we're here to talk about today. Emily is a graduate of ODU, or Old Dominion University.
Yep.
And she brings expertise in areas such as social media, data analysis, and marketing strategy. So, super involved with Thrive, if you're familiar with that, if you're local to Virginia in the Hampton Roads Chamber, and super involved with the young professionals. So, welcome to the show, Emily. So excited to have you on.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes. So, we were talking a little bit before the show, as I always do with guests, and we started talking about what Emily does. So I'm going to lay the foundation for our conversation here. So, Emily, do you mind just going in high level what you do, who you do it for, who you help, that whole thing?
Yeah, absolutely. So at the Chamber, my primary role is the marketing relations specialist. So I coordinate all of our advertising options for our members. Our members are always looking to increase their visibility in the community and make other B2B connections. So having those advertising opportunities for them is super important because then they can get their business in front of a targeted local community. So that's really fun. And then I also am the project manager of our Experience 757 annual publication. And also, I oversee Thrive as the communications coordinator. And Thrive is our young professionals group that operates out of the chamber. So I do all of the communications for them. But of course, I'm super active with our events and our members. So.
Wow. So you really have like three main buckets, and those are some pretty big buckets that you're overseeing.
Yeah, but it's a lot of fun. And I've been here for about a year now, and it's just been such the most wonderful experience so far. So I love it. I love what I do.
So tell me about that journey. You graduated from ODU, and what was your degree in? How did you get to where you're at now with the chamber?
Okay, yeah. So my degree was in digital marketing. And about maybe like 3 or 4 months before I graduated, I was kind of like, oh my God, I need to get a job. And I knew I wanted to stay local in this area and do something with marketing. So I was I was scrolling LinkedIn, Handshake, Glassdoor, all of the sites. And then I came across the job listing for the Hampton Roads Chamber, and I was super active like within the ODU community and the ODU campus. So I was like, let me be super active in the whole Hampton Roads region. Let me apply. So I applied and I interviewed and I got the job about a month after I graduated, and here we are. I did a lot of like jobs and internships through college, which I think really helped me stand out, especially like as a fresh graduate.
So that's really interesting. I want to get into that here in a second. But I guess if you've been with the chamber, so you graduated in 2023 or 24?
24, May 24.
Dang, brand new. That's a huge testament that networking works right there.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, so your degree was in digital marketing. One thing that whenever I go and speak to people about LinkedIn and why it's important to be on there, one thing that I really try and preach to them is what people are getting taught in college, and they're getting taught to network. They're getting taught to use LinkedIn. So that's something that I've just heard through the grapevine as I've done my research and everything. But can you walk me through just high level what they're teaching networking wise in college, especially for digital marketing?
So the only really learning experience that I had for networking and LinkedIn especially was through a digital marketing course where our professor was just super enthusiastic about LinkedIn and really understood the importance of it. So she just made sure that we knew how to correctly set up our profile, how to have a bio that was all encompassing about us and not just what we have done, but what we are looking to do, to make sure that we have all of our job experience on our LinkedIns, even if we think it's relevant or not to the industry we want to be in. Like, I was a barista. Does that relate to where I am now? No, but it's on my LinkedIn. Just to have that up there, and then also to be connecting with people who work at companies or just in the general industry that you are wanting to be in, just so you can see their content and what they're posting, to share relevant content with your thoughts as well. Just so if you don't have a lot of work experience or anything that you can post to your feed on LinkedIn, by sharing relevant content and just kind of get some of your things up there. She also really encouraged us to share what projects we were working on while in school. Again, just so since if we don't have like work experience, we can be posting like, here's what I'm working on now, or here's what we did for this class that shows that I have XYZ capabilities.
Yeah, that makes sense. Did they dive into recommendations at all and getting people to recommend you on the platform itself?
Not really.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like that would be, granted, I'm in a little bit different of a space, right? But I think that would be something that would be really beneficial for young professionals to get. Doesn't matter what you said your previous experience was a barista, you wanted to get into marketing. Great. Figure out how you can tie the two together and get that general manager, get somebody to recommend you on LinkedIn. That definitely shows, if anything, that you're hustling. I don't know if we're still using that word, but you're out there and you're grinding and you're working and you are taking initiative and getting recommendations to an employer. That really makes you stand out because you took that extra step and you asked for that recommendation instead of just put stuff on your resume. It's like, yeah, I said I did this stuff.
Yeah, no, I wholeheartedly agree, because I think you can look at a profile and it looks great, but you don't really have any proof. And having that recommendation is kind of your proof that, I'm not just making up a skill. This person has seen me perform this skill and perform it well. So I'm with you there.
So digital marketing, when you decided that you were going to start this degree, what was your thought process? Did you think that you were going to go into social media marketing? Did you want to do like email marketing? What was your goal?
Well, I knew since I was in high school that I wanted to go into marketing. It just, when I got to college, I figured, well, marketing is so broad. I was like, let's try to narrow it down a little bit. And I worked at the Old Dominion University's Women and Gender Equity Center all 4 years. But during my second year, they asked if I wanted to start doing their social medias. And I was like, you know what? I'm on social media all the time. This sounds really fun. Let me give it a try. And I ended up loving it. And then that ended up with me getting a few other like social media internships. So I did start out wanting to kind of be in the social media field. But then as I finally declared that like my concentration would be digital, I started learning more about like the Google Analytics and SEO and optimization and just all the digital marketing terms. And so now I do a lot of email marketing with the chamber. That's one of our biggest advertising options that our members really love. And I love doing that. And I didn't really know anything about it in college, but it's what I do now. So yeah.
Let's talk about that. Email marketing. So are you doing it on behalf of the chamber? Are you doing it on behalf of your members? What does that look like?
Yeah. So we do these things called member messages. And any member who wants to send out an advertisement through the chamber's platform, so we send it out for them to our email list. We have a pretty robust email list, like I said, with that targeted local business community as our audience. So yeah, they just they pick a date, they pay me, and then they send me their ad and their links and whatever they want to be included, and then I'll compile that email together and get it scheduled to be sent to our email list.
Okay, nice. Do they create their own ad, or can you give them guidance on maybe you should change this out or change the title or something?
They do create their own ads. I have specifications for them just about like the sizing of it and the file format. But really everything else is up to them. Sometimes we will look over an ad and be like, maybe not this wording. But that's really few and far between.
Okay, that makes sense. So you're part of the buckets that you are tasked with is email marketing and working with members. And then you talked about another scope of your work, and that is dealing with the young professionals and getting involved in Thrive. So walk me through, what is Thrive?
Okay, so Thrive is a young professionals group that operates outside of the chamber, but we also have a board of directors. So it's not all the chamber, and our board of directors is all YPs. It is a free to join. We keep our barrier of entry as low as it can go, free.
Yeah.
And young professionals can join, and then they can come to all of our free networking events. We also host more professional development events, such as we have a summit every year where it's like a workshop and speakers come, there's panelists. We also will do kind of one-off professional development events. We have these things called impact talks where we'll invite a couple local leaders to talk about a designated subject. Our last one was in the fall, and it was about the housing crisis in Hampton Roads. And so we had some people in the banking industry to come and speak about that, as well as the real estate industry. So that was really interesting. We also do some more fun events that are also professional development called Local Looks, where members can we kind of joke that they're like adult field trips, because we'll take our young professionals and we'll go tour a local business or a local org. Like our last one was with the Virginia Arts Festival for the Virginia International Tattoo, and Thrive members got to go behind the scenes and see a dress rehearsal and interview the cast and crew. So that's just like a really exclusive opportunity that not a lot of young professionals know about or have access to. So we're really just about providing young professionals opportunities to get out there, to learn something, to develop their skills, and also just to have fun.
Yeah, that's so beneficial. As you were talking, I'm thinking of all the different benefits that somebody that's still in college or freshly out, maybe still young professional trying to switch career paths, getting involved in something like that. Not only is it beneficial going on those field trips because you can post content about that and you can share that you're active in the community, but the other side is you're meeting these board members that are probably a little bit higher up within their company, a little bit more seasoned in the workforce. So you get those connections, but then you can also meet people from all different companies that have different experiences and can kind of help you navigate what direction you're wanting to go with your career if you're in that decision-making phase.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I also forgot to mention another one of our events that we do. We call Table for Tens currently, where we pick a regional, or we invite a regional business leader to come and sit down for dinner with 9 young professionals. So it really is, you are getting that intimate, exclusive opportunity to talk to someone who you may not have the opportunity before or after. Like our last one that we did was with Charlie Mallon, who is the president and CEO of AB&B. So for young professionals who are in the banking industry or in the finance industry or just in that general realm, that's a super great opportunity for them to learn more about their industry or to get insights and tips that you may not come across unless you're having that intimate discussion.
Yeah. And you have the ability to ask somebody directly about the questions that you might have, which is not really something, at least from when I was in college, it's not really something you can get. I mean, your professors likely have experience in whatever they're teaching on, but you really don't have, unless you're an intern somewhere, that opportunity to get that amount of real world questions answered for a bunch of different industries. That's super cool.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's awesome. And we actually have one coming up if anyone wants to join Thrive and come out. It's on May 21st with Dylan Richmond. And this one is really cool because Dylan is the owner of Clean Eats Virginia Beach and Chesapeake. So that's really cool because, you know, our last one was with the banking industry, and now we're hearing from a franchise owner in a completely different space. So we really do have a good variety of industries, and there's a lot you can learn. So.
Wow, that's so cool. Oh my gosh. I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, I need to get on board with that. Just knowing if for even something like that, even if they're not in the health and wellness space, they're like, I don't care about clean anything. Okay, whatever. But you still have that opportunity to meet somebody that has networked probably their heart out to the point where they're able to have multiple locations of a business in an area, which that takes skill. So depending on how you look at it, there's different things that you can learn from every professional. So cool.
Yeah, for sure.
You've really got it made a year out of college and you're able to network and facilitate all these things. That's crazy.
Oh, I know. I wake up sometimes. I'm just like, I can't believe this is my life. I'm so grateful.
Are you the one that's reaching out to these people to facilitate the speakers at these dinners and everything?
No. So we have an events team that operates out of the chamber. Like we have our chamber events team, and then we also have a person on the events team who's part of their position is the event coordinator for Thrive, just like I'm the communications coordinator for Thrive. Because the chamber, we do want, Thrive is a self-sustaining and self-operating organization, but because it operates out of the chamber, we do like to have a little bit of chamber staff involved. But yeah, no, it's mostly our events coordinator who does that. And then I show up and take pictures and post about it and make sure that we get great attendance and that everyone is keeping up with Thrive and knowing about our events.
Nice. Is that Emma that does the events?
No, it was Janetta Jatsick, but she actually left the chamber to pursue her dreams of being a pilot. She's going to aviation school in Texas, which is so cool. And we're all so happy and so proud of her. So we're filling that position currently.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then there's an opportunity there.
There is.
Where are you advertising the Thrive stuff? I know you're probably doing the social media as best as you can to reach out to everybody. Are you guys in the colleges and advertising there? Is it just word of mouth, or how is that working?
Yes, to social media. We also have an email list that I send out the emails to advertise them that way. And there is a little bit of college involvement. I've spoken to ODU once about Thrive, but Thrive, we're actually recruiting for our board right now because we went through a little bit of a revamp structure, and we're hoping to start promoting things more heavily to colleges and universities. So, because we have an age range of 21 to 39, so we want to speak to college seniors especially, so they can join, or if they're not of age yet, once they do graduate, they can join after they graduate and just know about all of the opportunities that are in Hampton Roads, especially for young professionals.
Nice. I like that there's that age on there, and it's a little bit younger, I think, of an audience than some of the other young professional organizations throughout the area. So I think that's really an interesting dynamic because you have people that are so close in age that you guys can almost relate on some things. And definitely there's a huge difference between 21 and 35. I mean, night and day, but you can still learn off of each other. The people that are in that 35 range, if they didn't learn about X, Y, and Z with social media, they can actually learn that from the younger people. And I mean, not to say that that's how that would work, right? But there's still the opportunity where they're so different that you can learn off of each other, but then you can also just network within a like age bracket. So that's really awesome.
Yeah, no, it's wonderful. And I love that we have that diversity there because, like you said, there's so much that I can learn from someone who's even just 6 years older than me. And just like someone who's 10 years older than me might have something to learn from me. So, and our membership base really is super diverse in ages. It's not like it's a bunch of 20-year-olds or a bunch of 35-year-olds. Like we really are really evenly spread out across that age range. So it's awesome.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And that's also really necessary too, because then it's not just a crazy time with a bunch of people that are fresh out of college and they're networking. Yeah. That's really not what it is. I've seen it firsthand. It's a very good group of people. So about how many members do you have at Thrive?
We have about, so we kind of count our membership based on our email list, because to join Thrive, you just go to Thrive, ypthrive.org, and you put in your email, and then boom, you're a member. And then of course that email gets put on our email list. So we have about 2,000 on our email list. But I would say just like actively probably who like come to our events, are engaging with our social posts, probably around 300.
Okay. Wow.
Like really active members.
So I'm looking at it here. Nice website. Cool. So they can literally just go to, and I hate for this to be promotional, but I feel like this is such a good thing for people to know about. It's so tangible. It's so easy to do. And you don't have to play guessing games on where to network. This literally can plug you into the right spots.
No, exactly.
So this is the regional report. So how would they would just go to join?
Yep.
And that is awesome.
And it's simple as that.
Nice.
And then, taking advantage of your Thrive membership is completely up to you. You can join and not come out to a single event, or you can join and go to as many events as you would like to. It's completely up to you.
And how often are you hosting them, roughly?
We try to do at least one networking event a month, which is usually a coffee meetup in the morning. Actually, we have one coming up this Friday with Gen Zoo. We like to work with other YP organizations as well. So Gen Zoo is the YP group out of the Virginia Zoo. So we're partnering with them on Friday, and we're going to go have a little networking coffee meetup with the animals. So that's super exciting. And we try to do something like that about once a month. And then as we've been going through this revamp process, our events have slowed down just a tad, but we're still up and running. We're still having fun. We shoot for maybe one table for 10 a month as well. And then local looks, like our adult field trips, are more so based on when companies have availability to accommodate like a larger group of YPs.
Nice. Okay. Well, that is good to know. So I'm curious with everything that you're doing. You have a lot of networking events, a lot of opportunities for people to meet all different types of owners and managers and all that kind of stuff. Do you have any workshops or anything through the chamber that helps with writing resumes or helping with their LinkedIn profiles or just helping them with the tangible things that young professionals need to enter into the workforce?
Oh, absolutely. So Thrive does our annual YP Summit. And Lauren, she actually spoke at it last year, and she did a workshop seminar vibe about LinkedIn and setting up your LinkedIn resume. And that got such great feedback that we're actually hoping for the next year to start incorporating more, not summit types, but just having a workshop every now and then about something tangible like resumes or LinkedIn. So it's in the pipeline.
Heck yeah, that's awesome. So it sounds like the summit is a good place for them to, at least if they can make it, even though it's once a year, to still make that, because they can learn a lot from, a few hours? Like 5 or 6?
Yeah, like 5 or 6 hours. And it's super hands-on. You're working with a lot of people. You get sat at tables, or you can sit wherever you want, but you have the opportunity to sit and network with whoever you would like. And then usually at the summit, like I said, we do those workshops, but then we also have impact talks with local leaders as well. So it really is a great event for YPs wanting to get some insights as well as have something tangible to take away.
Yeah, that makes sense. So shifting gears a tiny bit, You're the expert in digital marketing with your degree from ODU. So I have to, of course, we have to talk about the social media stuff. So what is your favorite social media platform and why?
Oh my gosh. On a personal level or professional?
Either one.
Okay, personally, I'm not ashamed to admit this. My favorite social media is TikTok. And I'm okay with people knowing that. But when it comes to, I think, engaging with Thrive members or even chamber members, the chamber really utilizes LinkedIn. LinkedIn is great for the chamber. We have a large following on there. Our businesses that are members love to engage with us on LinkedIn. For Thrive, I have personally found that I feel like I get more engagement on Instagram, which is interesting, but also makes sense because it's a little bit of the younger generation. But Thrive is super active on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. So if y'all want to check us out, I would appreciate follow.
It does make a lot of sense just from the social media background that I have. Granted, we do LinkedIn now and only LinkedIn, but with that, you still have to know a decent amount about all the platforms and how they operate and everything to be able to advise people. And it does make sense just because of the age bracket for those platforms. Typically, you've got younger people, I mean, in their like teens to 20s, like breaching into the 30s, that are really active on Instagram. And it's one of those things that they can go on and it's kind of mostly personal stuff, but then they can kind of, with Thrive, it's kind of both. It's professional development. So it's a little bit business, a little bit personal to people as well. So that makes sense. So I guess just a plug for businesses trying to figure out what kind of platforms to be on. Definitely know the demographics of your audience and who they are, because the ages matter. Their purpose for being on a platform matters. So it makes sense how you all are getting traction there.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. So you've got a good following, you've got a good membership base. So I think people are probably pretty sold on it. I would be sold on it if I was currently at ODU or a different type of university trying to get in the workforce. Thrive is a great opportunity. There's chambers all over, so I'm sure there's lots of programs that are very similar if you're not local to the coastal Virginia area.
Oh, absolutely.
So you work with a lot of young professionals, you give advice, I would imagine, to a lot of young professionals, even though you're a year into your career, but you've got it rolling pretty good. What advice do you have for young professionals that are still like, okay, I'm in Thrive and I'm doing everything I can, but I'm still not sure about what route I want to take or how to even get noticed and how to go about that? What advice would you have for them?
Reach out to people directly. That's a big advice of mine. Like, if you see a job posting that you're really interested in, don't be afraid to find somebody on LinkedIn who you think looks approachable enough and reach out to them directly. And just ask questions about the job or let them know that you're interested, what they should be doing. I think that it can be super helpful. And then also when you're at networking events as well, don't be scared to talk to people. And this was something that was really difficult for me when I first started, because I had never really been to a networking event before I started in this role, in all honesty. And I was a little nervous and not really sure how to approach a conversation in more of a professional and business aspect. But these people who you may be intimidated by, they're just people too. So if you just walk up and introduce yourself and tell them what you're looking for, if you have a business card, that's great. Give it out. Just don't be afraid to put yourself out there. That's my biggest piece of advice. Just putting yourself out there.
I can attest to that too. A lot of what we do, even as a founder with marketing our company. So it goes for both young professionals looking for a job, for people marketing your company, for just being in business development or sales. Being able to have the confidence to reach out to somebody directly on LinkedIn, it sounds kind of cheesy because people, oh yeah, that's not a problem. But when you really go to do it, it's like, oh, I don't want to sound salesy. Exactly. I don't want this person to think differently of me. And the reality is our company, we send, I mean, thousands of messages a day. It's insane how many outbound messages we send through LinkedIn. And out of those thousands a day, we only get like one here and there of somebody saying like, don't message me. Don't ask me questions. So the likelihood is so low, especially if you're just trying to, maybe they can't help you with a job or answer your question. At least they recognize your face. They recognize that you took that bold step to reach out and ask them. And it just adds a little touch point is what we call it in marketing. Just you touch that person and they're more likely to remember you the next time.
Exactly. Yeah, no, it's important.
So what about resumes and how does that work now? Because I preach LinkedIn to be your online resume. And if you've got that built, you've got it made. But I know there's a whole other side to that. So what's different about resumes now? Do you have the ideal, like, is it 1 page? Is it 2 pages? How are we approaching a good resume?
I have always been taught, try to keep your resume to 1 page. Just right off the bat, keep it to 1 page, especially as a young professional who's just coming out of college. You probably don't have as much work experience to fill up more than 1 page. And also to keep, if you do, just try to make it a little bit shorter by keeping your, I forget the technical term, but under each job, when you list your responsibilities, keep it extremely brief. Because these hiring managers or whoever is in charge of reading through them for each company, they need to be able to scan and see this person completed XYZ, which grew revenue by da-da-da-da, or whatever. It should be very concise and brief. So that way it shouldn't really take up more than a page. And also, like you said, LinkedIn, that's where you put all of your work experience. That is your digital resume. But when it comes to actually your paper resume and handing it into a job, like when I applied for the chamber, I didn't include that I was a barista on my resume because that's not really relevant to the role that I'm in now. While it's great because they know, like if I had included it, great, that's customer service skills. But it just wasn't, I had other experience that I felt was more important to include on the resume. So barista got the cut. So I think that's a good tip, just to include all of your relevant work experience. And then also now AI is scanning these resumes sometimes, and it's not an actual person. So when they can kind of tell too if you made your resume with AI, and it will get filtered out. So you have to be extremely careful with that. And then I know that we, especially in the marketing field, we love Canva. We really do. And Canva has super cute resume templates. Like they're colorful. You can put pictures. It's adorable. But AI filters, if they see a picture, they'll filter you out. Or some hiring managers, if you include a picture on a resume, they'll throw it out because then if your picture is on a resume, it could be seen as like a bias issue. So just keeping your resume as clean and as simple as possible, I think is the best way to go.
Wow, I didn't even think about that with the picture. When you say AI is filtering through these resumes, what are we talking here? Do you know like the software that people are using?
I don't know the exact software, but I know when I was applying for jobs, I would go to submit my resume and there would be like a little message that would be like, just so you know, your resume is going to be reviewed by AI. I was just like, oh, okay. So I don't know the exact software, but I know that is something people are doing nowadays.
That's a big tip. That's really big because I mean, how easy is it to just, make me have this sentence sound better and plug it into ChatGPT? I do it. I'm obviously I'm not a typing wizard. Of course I'm going to do that. Right. But with your resume, if you know that that's being something that's filtering and it's going through some of your information and it sees sentences, that's just a waste of your time applying and answering all those questions. So that's a really good tip.
Yeah, exactly. And I still think like using ChatGPT to help you create your resume, like if you need a little bit of advice on how to word something, like it's still a great tool. You just have to make sure that 96% of your resume really is truly you and authentic.
Yeah. So interview tips as a young professional. I can speak to this because I am a young professional that owns an agency, and I've also worked corporate jobs before. So I've kind of done a little bit of both. I will, and I've talked about this in a previous live with a few other young professionals that are really noted in our area, and they've kind of experienced a similar thing where you're a young professional, you go to interview in these legacy industries. Not all of them are, but I mean, it depends on what job you're going for. But when you're interviewing in legacy industries, it is not uncommon for young professionals they're excited because you're excited and you're new and you're in the workforce, but to get challenged and to say, well, you don't have a lot of experience. You're not as knowledgeable. We're really going to have to hold your hand. We're really going to have to teach you these things. Is that something you experienced at Thrive or at the Hampton Roads Chamber, or were they just ready to go with somebody that was young and hungry and straight out of college? How did that work with your interview?
So I was actually very lucky because my role is a new role for the chamber. So it wasn't like I was going to be compared to someone who was in my role previously. So I really did luck out. But I have heard that a lot. And yes, there were a few things for my job that I did not know how to do, and I knew that. So in my interview, I just tried to focus on what I do know. So I had an initial phone call interview where they told me kind of just a little bit about the role and that I would be responsible for revenue generation, non-dues revenue generation. And I was like, okay, cool. But in my head, I was like, what is that? I didn't know. So I had my first phone interview, and from my first interview to my in-person interview, I spent that whole time researching everything there is to know about a chamber, everything there is to know about non-dues revenue generation. And then when it came to my second interview, I felt extremely informed and like I knew what I was talking about. And I also came with a pitch deck of if you were to hire me, here's 10 things that I think we could do that would help increase non-dues revenue generation. So yes, there may be things that you don't know how to do, but there's going to be things that you do, and you just have to show that you are able to do those things that you know of very well, and that you're informed and that you're willing to put in that time and effort to learn something that you don't already know.
Practical application and putting in the effort. That makes total sense to me why you got that position. Because I mean, how did they ask you for a pitch deck, or did you just do that independently?
Oh, I just did it.
See, there you go. And
yeah.
That I feel like that can just kind of close out our conversation about interviews, because you took initiative beyond what most people would do. A lot of times, if you're going to multiple interviews, it's so easy to do just the bare minimum enough to like get you by through that 1 hour conversation with the people in person. But it's another thing to really go above and beyond, and you totally went above and beyond. That's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, I absolutely believe that it is way better to be extremely way over the top, over prepared than even just a little bit underprepared. So.
Especially when it's life changing, right? That's your first job, first really professional job. I mean, you've had other jobs, but first one straight out of college that's relevant to what you want to do. It's going to help grow your experience. So why not put that effort and energy towards it? Because at least you know that you did everything that you can.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was exhausting because I've done that. I've spent, I think, upwards of, I think it was like 12 hours one time. I worked on a like slideshow for an interview that I was in, and I got the job, but it was horrible. I was so irritated by the end of it. I was like, I spent way too much time on this to not get this job, but I got it because I put way more effort and research behind it. And this was before ChatGPT was a thing, which is so weird to say before ChatGPT was a thing. So I did it with my own knowledge and my own research. So it does help.
Yeah, no, it helps a lot. And I feel like too, after that first phone call, I already really wanted this job, but the more that I researched the chamber and everything that we do to help the local business community, I really wanted it. So I put in the effort and I put in the time, and here we are a year later.
Yeah. And it gets you excited about what you're doing because you're putting effort into it. And so you're focused, you're dialed in, and you're ready to go. And so that's something that if you just kind of half did it, then it's okay, no big deal, I didn't get it. So I guess that I just kind of want to end that interview portion there because I had written down to talk to you about interviews and that just stand out. The best way to stand out, go above and beyond. Best way to do that, if they don't ask for a pitch deck, bring them a pitch deck. Depending on what the role is, that's going to impress people in legacy industries that have been there, and you're competing against people that are significantly older than you. You just go above and beyond because they might not, and that's what's going to set you apart.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've been there. There's been a lot of times where in my career before I started this one, I had to go head and head with people that were double my age going for the same job, and it's definitely intimidating. So that's a great piece of advice.
Yeah, no, it definitely is really scary.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But it's doable. I think as an employer, they really are looking for somebody that's going to be an asset to them and not somebody that they have to handhold. So if you can prove that you can be an asset and that you can hone in on the skills that you are good at to complement that company, complement that business, there's no reason that you shouldn't get that position.
Yeah.
So. Okay, so we've talked about LinkedIn and some good strategies there, talked about the resume, we've talked about interviews. So those are all really good things for young professionals to know. I'm sure is that stuff that gets taught in college or when you're in like your basics, or is that something that we just kind of gloss over?
I think it is taught. I know that I was taught it, but I don't know if everyone has that same experience, and I don't know if it's taught as in depth as it should be. It is more so in my experience, of a quick overview and not really like you're having hours and hours of like time and work put into it, which I think young professionals would really benefit from, especially when they're straight out of college. If they had put in that like a lot of substantial time into learning how to write an effective resume or learning how to set up your LinkedIn, it would be really beneficial.
And we're also looking at that from the perspective of people that went to college. I went to college, you went to college. We both have degrees. Not everybody has that opportunity. Not everybody has that chance. Mm-hmm. So being able to attend stuff like this and just write down the little things you learned or research, go above and beyond. If you really want something, dig into it and figure out how to go about it. But these are all really good strategies. So that covers a lot of student related, young professional related stuff. I want to pivot while we still have some time left and talk about what you're doing directly with businesses. I know you work with them. That's part of your marketing. You're doing the email marketing for them. What else are you doing for the chamber along with other companies?
Oh yeah. So I actually, for our chamber members, I have a whole advertising packet that it's like a menu basically of all the advertising that we do. So I mentioned the member messages, which is our email marketing that we offer, but then we also offer our members for paid, obviously a paid opportunity to post on our social medias. I don't oversee the chamber's social medias. That is my supervisor who does that, and she's so good at it. But our chamber members, they can post to our social medias, which has a combined audience of like 25,000. So it's a good opportunity. I also coordinate banner ads on our website. So if you want to advertise on our website, I can do that for our members as well. We also send out a monthly newsletter that just kind of helps keep our members informed about what we're doing, what events we have coming up, any big regional news. And then our members also have the opportunity to advertise in that newsletter as well. They can also advertise. We host a lot of events at the chamber, so they can also advertise in our event programs. So I kind of coordinate all of those advertising options for our members. And I actually, when I was first, a main the main reason that my role was new to the chamber was because, like I mentioned earlier, we wanted to increase those non-dues revenues. So when I was hired, they were like, we were only doing social media and a little bit of email marketing. And then I kind of came up with all of those other options that we're now offering members.
Nice.
I'm like, what else do I do here? And that's like the primary way that I personally help our members, is just helping them figure out what advertising opportunity might be best for their business. Like, I know that some businesses, they really love our member messages, our emails, because that's their audience, but then some prefer to be more visible on social media. So I really work with our members to figure out, well, for your business specifically and for your budget specifically, this is what we could do.
How do you walk businesses through deciding which advertising option is best for them? Because even if it's somebody that's not a member of the chamber, they're not really looking forward to doing that right this second. Just how do you approach that? Because that might be helpful for some businesses to just think about and be like, oh, okay, this is how I select this. So how do you walk them through that?
Yeah, so any member who's interested in advertising with us, it's usually because they see another member's advertisement through one of our platforms. So they'll reach out to me about like an email or something. And then I will send them, I have a PDF of all of the things that we offer that goes over each single option with pricing, how you book it. We book some things by quarter. So like that information is all included there. And then I also have like a digital flip book version if they would prefer to flip through it that way. And then I also, whenever I send these packets out, I always offer, if you want to look over this, I'll answer any questions, or if you would like to meet in person, over Zoom, over the phone, I will walk you through every single one of these options. And then I also, sometimes our members will be like, well, I really want to promote this, but I only can spend this amount. What do you think is the best option? What do you think will get the most visibility? So I kind of work with them that way, just kind of based on their budget and how they can basically get the most bang for their buck.
Yeah, that makes sense. So chamber advertising with the Hampton Roads, that's a regional thing. What about the companies that are, and I've run into a lot of them recently, that are saying, okay, I want to branch out. I want to do all of the US or all of the East Coast. How do you advise those types of businesses? Because they might want to take those advertising dollars and put it towards the entire coast versus just one localized area. So what's your advice there?
If a business ever reaches out to me and they're looking to promote something outside of our membership base, I just will try to connect them with a chamber member who is a marketing company who can, or works in that realm, who can help them further, because we really only are regional and only promote through our emails or our social media, which really is just that kind of regional audience. So if someone ever comes to me and is like, I really need to get more views down in North Carolina, then I'll be like, okay, well, you should go ask Sky4 TV. They're an example. So we work with a lot of marketing agencies, and being a chamber member, we're always more than happy to direct other chamber members to them as well. And that's another great benefit of being a chamber member, is having the ability to find someone and connect very easily with a business that you're looking to work with.
Do you work with other chambers actively, like across the United States? Because I know you guys are, Lauren taught me this, 5-star accredited chamber, which is really notable because there's not a lot of you guys out there. So are you guys all communicating pretty regularly, or is that just like a once a year type of thing? How does that work?
In all honesty, I'm not 100% sure. But I have had a few times where, so with my banner ads that I offer, I don't know how to code. I don't really know much about website design, but I knew I wanted to do banner ads. And we had a new CRM software that I knew had the capabilities of doing it. I just wasn't sure how to do it. So I looked up other chambers and found chambers that were using the same, like they had the same website provider as us, and they had banner ads exactly how I wanted them. So I was reaching out to other chambers and asking them questions like, hey, I work at this chamber. How did you guys do this? And I've had great success with that. Like, I feel like the chamber community is we're very willing to help each other out. And then there's also, I've done a few calls for ACCE. It's like the National Chamber Organization. I wish I could tell you what the abbreviation is, but
It's all right.
I can't think of it off the top of my head. But it's almost like, do you know the American Marketing Association, AMA? It's almost like that, but for chambers. So I've done a few of their webinars where I got to learn about like what other chambers YP groups were doing. And that was actually super helpful when I was coming up with Thrive ideas. So there is that, to answer your question.
No, that makes sense. I think that the chamber's always been something, it's cliquey, but in a good way. It's something that businesses, if they're a member of the chamber, they know, okay, I'm going to have all of these different connections. I don't have to do a quick Google search and then try and evaluate all these different companies. If you're looking for a particular product or service, you can literally just go to somebody that is either a staff member on the chamber, volunteer on the chamber, and you can ask them and see who they know. So it's just a great opportunity for businesses to be able to connect and find services as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Cool. So when it comes to networking for the chamber, how often are you guys doing networking events?
Yeah, so once a month we do a morning member meetup, and then which is just like a coffee networking, and we'll do it at a member location. We actually had one earlier this week at Green Brier Country Club. And then we also will do an evening one once a month that we call a business social. So if you can't make the morning one, you can go to the evening one. If you aren't free in the evening, you can go to the morning one, or you can go to both. So twice a month.
How many members approximately do you have come to either one of those events?
It varies, but I would say typically 75 to 80. Or to 90 even. It does vary by location, because some places are just more accessible for people. But yeah, we have really great turnouts, and it's fun because at the morning ones, all of the members who joined the previous month get to stand up and do a little pitch about, this is who we are, this is what we offer, so you get visibility that way too.
Wow. That sounds like a great way to network. If you have a business developer, you're doing a lot of in-person networking to complement your digital networking. That is sounds like a great opportunity, especially twice a month for an organization. That's kind of a lot with your member base. That is a pretty notable thing that stands out.
Oh yeah, our membership team is awesome. They are on it, and they also they love to see our members and to work with our members and to give those opportunities to our members. So, yeah.
So what are your career goals? Because we've talked about your journey so far. We've talked about the role that you're in. What are you looking to learn more about and to be able to do in your career?
I am loving digital marketing so far, and I would love to continue doing this. I would like to learn a little bit more about branding, because that's kind of what my supervisor, she's all about branding for the chamber, and she's amazing at it. So it's been really great watching her do all that, and I didn't even realize that was something I was interested in until I was watching all of the wonderful things that she does. So I don't know, I'm still kind of figuring it out where I want to end up. I'm just kind of taking my time in learning about new things and trying different things and just seeing what I enjoy. Because like I mentioned earlier, marketing is so broad. So I'm just trying to figure it all out right now.
Absolutely. And I think that's the beautiful part about a career journey is you can start in one area and then take a 180 and end up in a completely different space, and everything that you do builds upon itself. So that's a great little lesson in there too for young professionals listening, is you don't have to right away. If you are uncertain, you're pretty sure you really like something and you're confident about the job, you ace the interview, you're really passionate about it, do the job and see where that takes you, because you can learn so much about yourself, about what you like to do, and then even be more of an asset to the company that you're with, because you can really dive into a thing that you might not have even thought of when you first interviewed. So
exactly. Yeah.
Cool. Well, this has been so helpful. I truly, if I was a young professional looking for a job, this would be really helpful to me to be able to listen through all of these tips that you gave on how to really kickstart your career and launch into being a successful manager, employee, whatever you are wanting to go into. Is there anything that you were like, gosh, I really wish we could have talked about that? I have this advice for young professionals that I really want to give them. Anything that we missed on?
Shoot, I feel like we really covered a lot of things. I just think young professionals, just be confident in who you are and the experience that you have. Really, that's also just another last piece of advice.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds super cheesy. I'm going to be honest. What you just said, it sounds super cheesy,
it
right?
does.
But it's so true, because before this conversation, I had no idea that you literally graduated college last year. Never would have thought. Based on the few conversations that I've had with you prior, it seemed like you are very seasoned in the chamber. You have all of this marketing experience. You have been out in the industry forever, all these people. And to find out that you are a young professional right out of college for about a year, that is so impressive. And that really speaks to the power of being confident, the power of being able to shake hands with people that you don't know and go just suck it up and go to those events and really just network. You are a walking testament to that. So if anybody really has any questions, you're the person to ask. I think that you have done a lot in this past year. So it's been so wonderful getting to know you a little bit more, Emily.
Yeah, this has been great.
Awesome. Well, hopefully if anybody has any more questions, hopefully we answered them all. If you've got more questions, reach out to Emily on LinkedIn. I know she's active. Don't be afraid to reach out. Even if you don't need anything, just reach out to connect. That's part of this networking thing that we call business and being active on LinkedIn. So thank you, Emily. It's been a pleasure. I appreciate everybody that tuned in today. As always, if you have any questions, send me a private message on LinkedIn, leave me a comment, and we'll get to them. So until next time, guys, have a great rest of your Wednesday. I think it is Wednesday. Yeah. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. Bye-bye.